I believe in an America where every child has a fair shot to do better than their parents. But we all know that that kind of opportunity no longer exists for most people. For far too many, it never has. That's why we need to defeat Donald Trump in 2020.
So he's a blue guy in a big red state with a big sky. More on that later. Some members of Steve Bullock's own party wish he'd run for a different office in his home state of Montana instead. Politico reports today that Democrats have been pleading with Bullock to run for Senate and not the White House. And we quote, "Unlike any other Democratic candidate in the country, Bullock could make a virtually unwinnable Senate race competitive and give the party a real shot at knocking off a GOP incumbent and getting closer to a Senate majority." Here to talk about all of it tonight, two friends of ours, our own Garrett Haake, who's already been out on the 2020 campaign trail, covering largely Beto O'Rourke thus far, and a man who knows the trials and tribulations of campaigning all too well, David Jolly, former Republican member of Congress from the great state of Florida, who has since left the House and his political party, but he's here tonight with us, which is all that matters. David Jolly, who or what is the Bullock constituency?
The people of Montana, I suppose.
Okay. Okay.
It's a intriguing candidacy, right? I do think for a lot of people who are currently incumbents who have won races, there is a certain confidence that you develop that necessarily your politics must have worked in your last race. Maybe they can translate nationally. But I think the odds are against Governor Bullock just as they are against so many. I take a little issue with this narrative among a lot of Democrats that say, we need more of these candidates to run for the U.S. Senate and other races. I don't actually think many of those Senate races they're talking about are winnable for Democrats. Bullock might be the lone exception, but the notion that Beto and Stacey Abrams and others could be competitive, I think it's easier to lose that Senate race they're being considered for than to lose the White House.
Unknowingly, that's called a setup in the talk show business because I quote from what's been referred to derisively as Democratic Twitter or liberal Twitter, social media, to you, Garrett. Here's the first one. "Why run for Senate and win when you can run for president and lose?" By Steve Bullock, Beto O'Rourke, Julian Castro, and Cory Booker, forward by Stacey Abrams. Tweet number 2. Beto is polling at 2%. He could beat Cornyn in Texas. Hickenlooper polling at 1%. He could beat Gardner in Colorado. Bullock polling at 0%. He could beat Daines in Montana. Stacey Abrams isn't even running. She could beat Perdue in Georgia. We need the Senate in 2020. No proof to back up any of those numbers, but it's a fun conversation to have.
If you work from the bottom up, they are right in the sense that Democrats absolutely need the Senate. I find it fascinating that so many of the candidates are talking about reforming the filibuster to get from 60 votes to 50. Well, if you don't have 50 votes in the Senate, that's entirely academic. You're not getting a Green New Deal. You're not getting Medicare for all. You're not getting any of these priorities if you don't have 50 votes. And as you look at that list, it is interesting. There have been some obvious recruiting failures here, I think. If you're Chuck Schumer, you would have loved to have Stacey Abrams in that Georgia race. Yep. They're reasonably happy, Democrats, with MJ Hagar in the race running in Texas. John Hickenlooper in Colorado is another one. Bullock in Montana, I'm already forgetting their names. But if you put Steve Bullock, John Hickenlooper, and Jay Inslee, the three governors who are running, in a lineup in front of most voters, they will not know who they are. They could make a difference in that race. But good luck trying to convince someone who's been the executive of a state that they should go be one of 100, particularly if they might be in the minority party. I'm not telling you gentlemen anything you don't know, but being in the minority in Congress is a miserable experience, and these guys don't even want to risk that.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me, or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.